Welcome back to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We couldn't do these without the incredible support of our sponsors, and we want to take a moment to say thank you to all of them. First, thanks to our diamond sponsor, Varsity Brands, including BSN, Varsity Spirit, and Herff Jones. Varsity Brands, elevating student experiences in sport, spirit, and achievement. We also want to thank our platinum sponsors, including Gipper, sports graphics made incredibly simple. Vital Signs, bring student achievements to life. Camp Mobile, where leaders communicate better. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. And Ephesus Lighting, innovating a brighter future at every level. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Our guest today is right here in Tallahassee, Florida, Teresa Gunter. She is the Director of Athletics at Amos P. Godby High School. Teresa, thanks for being on the podcast.
No, thank you for having me. I just want to take this moment, Jake, to say I am so excited. And I'm happy that you actually you're giving us a platform like this. I've watched several of your podcasts and I learned a lot from different ADs across the United States. So I want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Oh gosh, well, I appreciate that shout out. We're excited to hear what's going on at Godby High School, again, here in the Panhandle. So we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you went to school and college, and as I like to say, how a love of athletics led to this position in athletic administration.
Sure. Well, let's go way back when. No, just kidding. I started in a small town in Duval County. You probably know where it is. It's called Baldwin, Florida. To let you know how small it is, my senior class was a large number of 52. So it was a very small high school. In that high school, I had the opportunity to play multiple sports because we were 6th through 12th grade. So there wasn't a lot of folks trying out for different things, especially with the female sports. So I was a volleyball player. Then I went to basketball. Then I did track / softball. And that was from 7th grade all the way through my 12th grade year. So during my 12th grade year, I decided at that point, you know what, I want to go to school. I really don't want to do athletics, believe it or not, because I was burnt out, I was tired. So I chose to go to Florida A&M University on an academic scholarship. I did go to Coach Farmer at that time. I'll tell you how that's going to come back. So remember that name, Coach Farmer, to play basketball as a walk-on because I was like, you know what, I can do this. But then I didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, didn't want to do 2 days. So I was like, let me just be happy with being an athlete here, not being an athlete, being academically inclined here at Florida A&M. And so I decided to do that. And believe it or not, I decided to go be a lawyer, only because I love a challenge. I love to debate. I love to argue. Debate and argue are two different things. Mm-hmm. And I love to always be right and to persuade people that I'm right. So I decided to take political science, but then I went back home to a high school game and I saw my principal there who was the new principal for the first year. And she said, hey, Teresa, how are you doing? I heard great things about you in Tallahassee. Well, I'm doing fine. Yeah, I'm just a college kid living the college life. She's like, you know what? It's going to be hard for you to find a job when you graduate. I was like, what do you mean? And I'm going to be a lawyer. She's like, you should go in education. I was like, okay. And she's like, if you go in education, I'll make sure you have a job when you come back. So all I heard was job when you graduate. And ding, 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 went back, talked to my advisor, said, I want to get a minor in secondary education. And I got a minor in secondary education. And at the end of my collegiate career, I had two paths. I can go to politics in Tallahassee or go to a school and intern. And I decided to go to intern at a school middle school. And that's when the love of coaching, the love of playing behind the scenes, that's when the seed was planted. And so that's how I get my roots with the athletic side and the coaching side. So I coached at that middle school for 3 years. I coached the basketball team, I coached the softball team. Here's what's funny. I got a degree, not a degree. I went back to get my certification in math, 6th through 9th, because they didn't have math teachers. It was a shortage at that time. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go do math. So I did math, and I loved to teach math, loved it. So there I was teaching math. And then some of your listeners or viewers can adhere to this, especially the women. I got struck by the bug of marriage and having kids. And so that dream of always having, the kids, the dog, and the white picket fence, that was me. And so I took a detour. I didn't stop. I didn't say I'm done with it. I took a detour and decided to raise my 3 beautiful girls. I got married, and did all those things. So it took me out of coaching, because you have to put a lot of time in coaching if you really want to make sure that your program is successful, not only on paper, but actually for the young ladies or the young men that you're coaching. And I could not give that to them because I didn't want to cheat my family. But I went behind the scenes and became a middle school athletic director and started doing things that way. And then as time is moving, I think I told you, I don't like to be stagnant because I like a challenge. So I left the school system, the schools, and went to the district office in instructional technology. So, wow. Which I got my master's in curriculum instruction and technology. So I'm like all over the place. You look at my resume, you're like, what in the world is going on? How did she become an athletic director of a high school? So I did all of that. And to kind of make this very, very short, because I have a long story of where I am and how I got here, but to kind of condense it so we can have more fun with other questions. I decided I want to go to high school, because I've been in middle school and district office. And I said, I want to go to high school a little bit. And I got a call from Shelley Bell, who was the principal at the time, who said, hey, can you come teach Algebra 1 and be the dean of students? Okay, that's admin, that's leadership. Let's take that. And so I did it. And I came here and I rocked and I rolled being the dean and being a math teacher. Then I became the math department head. Then the football coach came to me and said, can you be academic coordinator? Can you make sure my athletes' grades are straight and clearinghouse? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Never knew how to do any of that. Jumped in, I learned it. And then guidance counselor position came up, and guess who said, I'll do it. So I went into guidance counseling for 2 years. I was junior guidance counselor. And then our previous AD decided, she got struck by the bug. She was younger, she got married, had kids, and said, I want to spend time. That was the door that opened for me to be Godby's athletic director. And so here am I.
I always love hearing the stories, and some of the things that you mentioned, there's a difference between arguing and debating. I remember having that discussion with my teenage daughter 100 years ago. And I too started out at the middle school level and just loved it. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but that's a different breed of animal.
Oh gosh, yeah.
At the middle school level. So all those things that you did, all those experiences, I'm going to say from my perch, probably prepared you in no other better way to become an athletic director.
You're absolutely right. And I tell people this all the time. You shouldn't want to be one-dimensional. You shouldn't want to kind of get in this little same playing of a record, just replay. You need to mix it up a little bit. You know how they have the mixtapes, that was way back in my day, had the mixtapes and everything is different. That's what you want. You want your professional career to be. Kind of mix up, change it up a little bit, because every experience prepared me for the one that came after it. So I have no regrets. One wasn't better than the other one. They all kind of helped me be the person I am. And I gave back to the profession. Whatever job I was in, I gave 100% to kind of keep moving on. And I always tell everybody that I work with, speak with, have a conversation with, you should always pay it forward. So whatever experiences you had, whatever you went through, if it's your testimony, if it's you picking somebody up, if it's you saying, hey, you're doing it the wrong way, always pay it forward from what you've learned from experiences in the past. So you're absolutely right. It did help me where I am now.
Oh yeah, no, I can just imagine. Teresa, in our profession, we always talk about the importance of leadership and mentoring that next generation. So I'm curious, who were some of your mentors, either maybe teachers or coaches you had growing up, or people that you might have worked with or worked for? Whose voice do you still hear in your head when you're talking to kids or coaches?
One special lady, I lost her this year. That was my grandmother. She raised me. My mom was in the military. She decided to, I want to go military. My grandma said, I don't care what you decide to do. You're not taking that little baby with you all over this country. So bring her to me. And so my grandmother raised me from a little bitty baby, but she was up in age. And so her youngest child, which is my aunt, she had to do all the ripping and running and making sure I had this, making sure I did that. So she was like the motherly figure. And then my grandmother was the grandmother, but I come from an extended family. So my grandmother, like I said, I just lost her this, well, not this year, it feels like this year, but last year, she was 109. So 109, she was the oldest living citizen in Baldwin where we grew up. And I can hear her voice every time I am doing something. Every decision I have to make, I can hear her say, that's my little Rita. I know you're going to do what's best for you. So Rita is my nickname, by the way. So I know you're going to do what's best for you. So you keep moving. And so she's one with my personal and my professional life. She's that little person that sits here and she's like, you can do it. You can do it. There's nothing too hard. When you were a little girl, I used to da 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 da. And so I moved from there. But in every job experience, coaching experience that I've had, I am always looking for someone to look up to, someone that I can take something from. So I've had my high school coach, who was also my basketball coach, my volleyball coach, my softball coach, because there's always that one coach that does everything. Coach Hammond. He also kind of helped me and kind of like mold me into that student athlete that I am today, to kind of push me forward. He kind of gave me some things on how to coach and also how not to coach, because when you have a leader, sometimes they can show you what to do well and what not to do. So I do appreciate that. All the principals I came up under, I can't name them all because I don't want to leave someone out, because I've been under a lot of them. The coaches that I coached against, you always want to see, well, what are they doing? How did they get this? So a lot of people have influenced me in my lifetime. I can't just say one in particular in my professional life, but my grandmother, she is number uno. She is number one up there. That's the voice I always hear. I do want to give a shout out to my current principal, Mr. Desmond Cole, because he's the one who came to me about this position. And he said, you would be the perfect person for it. And, but he said, I want you to do one thing. I want you to go pray on it. He said, before you make a decision, I need for you to go pray on it, make sure that it is okay, and then you come back. I knew in my heart, yes, I want to do it. What are you talking about? It's sports. And then it's getting me away from this. Yeah, I want to do it. But I did just that. I went and I prayed and made the decision. And he has been with me 100%. I don't want to say he's been behind me. I can't say he's been in front of me. He has been directly beside me, helping me through this process as athletic director.
It's just so cool to hear again, your family, your faith, and again, as an AD and with your career, you can't be successful in any role if that person above, that leader, is not supporting you. And great description there, right alongside of you, not in front, not behind. I love it. Okay, Teresa, you came out of a very tradition-rich, athletic program as a student. You've certainly been exposed to a lot of quality programs up there in the Panhandle. Now I want you to brag a little bit on Godby. One of the things we try to do at the podcast is share this idea of best practices. So What are a couple of things that when you look at your program from afar that you can say with equal parts pride and humility, boy, we do this better than anybody. We really do a great job at this. What are a couple of best practices you can share from Godby?
Okay, so when I took on this particular job, and I'm just 2 years in. Okay, I'm a baby. I'm just starting out. But I have inherited the family support, the love that Godby has for everybody, not just here in the school, but the community. So what we do, I think that is great, is we involve our alumni, and we don't involve them in such a way, because some schools you can have where the alumni runs the sports department. You know what I'm saying? They're going to run the football. They're going to run the basketball. They're going to run the track. We don't have that. Our alumni, they want to come in and they want to help. Even the alumni of our cheerleaders, they want to come. How can I give back? What can I do to help with this particular program? So having that partnership with alumni where they're not dictating to us, but they are actually helping us become bigger and better is one thing that I take pride in. The other thing that I take pride on is the community. Those who are not alumni, those who just live in the community, in the area, and they sit here and say, oh, look at Godby, because we have a community track. Back in the day when I was growing up, quite sure when you were growing up, the track, the tennis courts, all that was open to the public to come in at high schools to just play and do whatever you want to. And because of the times and because of safety, a lot of schools started locking those up. But here at Godby, we kept it open. My principal said, we're a community track. So seeing the community come out, even during the pandemic, and of course they followed protocol, they had their mask on, they were 6 feet apart, they were walking, it wasn't like 100 people on the track, they were coming out during time. We didn't close our track, although we were not in school, and although I got plenty of calls, there's so many people, I thought the schools were closed. They were still out there working, and people needed to get out and they needed to exercise. And to hear our community say thank you for not shutting us out during that time is huge. Having older little ladies and men call and say, you the athletic director, the gate was locked. I need to get my exercise in. Oh, no worries. I'll come and unlock it for you, Miss Smith, so that you can get your exercise in. That's huge. So like I said, alumni, the community, and then now I'm gonna go inside the school. The staff. Oh my gosh. The staff support here. And I know every school says, oh, our staff is the best. Oh, we do that. Listen, let me tell you, the Godby staff here, they will adopt the kids so quick. They will come to the football games, the basketball games, and they will have on shirts and they will have pom-poms and they will be the loudest cheerleader for our kids. That's huge in a program. A best practice is you have to make sure that you are open and that you're not closed within your program. It's just you, the coaches, and your athletes. No one else can participate. And that's not what we do. So we definitely want to practice having those partnerships, those relationships with our staff, with the community, with our alumni, so that we can become a bigger, better sports program together.
Now, I've been to a number of events there at Godby, and I can attest to that. Great spirit in the bleachers, which obviously you're fostering, and then the alumni and the community. Boy, having all three of those,
oh yeah,
that is great. Okay. We're coming up to our listeners. We're recording this episode on March 10th, so it's about as close to being live as we get here on the podcast. But we're coming up on 1 year of the C word, COVID. And we've been sharing, the other athletic directors have been sharing, what's going on, at their school as far as reopening and return to play. So share with our listeners a little bit, we're 1 year into COVID, what's going on in Tallahassee, what's happening at Godby High School, not just with return to play athletics, but also return to school.
Of course. And I do want to go back because like you said, we're coming up on that year and everybody was excited about spring break. I'm not gonna lie, I was one like, yeah, we're gonna do it. But we also had the reports and we saw the numbers on the television. So it was concerning to us. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Oh, we'll be out maybe an extra week for COVID. And then that extra week turned into, we're not going to see the kids. You're not going to see each other. We're done. Stay your butt at home because this is bigger than what we ever expected. And we're in a pandemic. So all of that whole journey kind of shocked me as an educator, but then it shocked our coaches, our athletes, our parents. No one knew what was going on. So when you strip all of that away, trying to build that back up in a pandemic was tough. So I want to definitely give a shout out to the superintendent and the task force here in Leon County Schools, because the moment we shut down, they started thinking about what is ahead. We know we got to get back up. We know we got to do things. How is that going to look? And you have to remember, for everybody, this was a first. There was no precedent. There was nothing that we could pick and pull from and say, hey, let's do it this way. We had to lean on each other and give those ideas. And the superintendent put this task force together. He had the health officials from Leon County. He had principals, he had teachers, he had parents in the community. Let's come together, let's talk this through. One thing, and he brought on the ADs and we had a Zoom meeting. The one thing that I can appreciate with him, because I'm gonna be an educator first. And I tell everybody who plays in our sports program, student comes before athlete. So when we started to get back into the groove of things, we started with academics first. We put sports, hey, hold off. Yes, the association has stated, you know, they are all in. You can play under these conditions. That's great. But our superintendent said, look, let's get our kids in first. Let's do 2 weeks. Let's see how the digital academy kids are going to go, the brick and mortar. Let's see how our parents are going to react with coming back, with wearing masks. You know what I'm saying? No water fountains. You know what I'm saying? Wiping down when you go to the bathroom and getting all the spray stuff. Let's see how that is going to go. In classrooms, you have to be 6 feet apart. Let's try that first before we introduce any sports. And I was one who was like, you're absolutely right. Let them get used to just being in a pandemic, back to school first, and then we'll throw in athletics. So that's what we did as a school district. We said 2 weeks, come back to the table. Let's see what's going on. The 2 weeks looked good. We did have some cases here and there, but it wasn't anything big. And then we started rolling out our fall sports, which included the football and the volleyball. And we had our athletic directors meetings, and Scott Hansen was very direct on what should happen, when it should happen, who should have, you know, everything. We had stacks and stacks of paper, you know, of how it should go. We had this, we had that, we had a plan, and that's all you can ask for. And because of that plan, our district said, we will not allow anybody to come in and play. We will not allow you to go out and play. We are in this bubble as much as we can, and we're going to stay here and do the best that we possibly can. And although we had a lot of upset parents because we limited the amount of people who could come to the games. And this was huge for us because I just stated, we are a community-based school. We don't have we have parents who used to have kids here who still come and support the kids that they don't know. So to tell them, I'm sorry, we're not selling tickets to our community was hard. I mean, I was like, I'm sorry, but that's just what we're doing right now. We have to, we're in a pandemic. They understood that. And so we kept going. We were lucky. I shouldn't say lucky because I'm a woman of faith. We were blessed not to have any cases that took our programs down. Our football played all 6 games, I think they had on their schedule, and then the playoffs. Our volleyball, same thing. They played all of their games, and then the district playoffs. So we did well cross country. No cases of COVID that would shut us down. That didn't happen for other high schools, but I want to say it was because we were making sure we were doing everything that we're supposed to do. So we followed the same protocols for the next set, which was our fall sports. Wait, am I going backwards? Fall sports, and then our winter sports. We follow the same protocols. But now you're getting to these sports that are enclosed. Our basketball, you know what I'm saying? It was different with football because we're out in the open, it's okay. But now we're enclosing folks. And it gets a little scarier because, you know, we have a basketball that is being passed by everybody, plus the team, plus the refs, plus, you know, so the chances went up a little bit higher. Again, we only had one little case where we had to shut down our whole JV and said, I'm sorry, because we had several cases and we didn't have enough to play. But we follow the same protocols. We didn't allow everybody to come in. We only allowed 4 parents, 4 family members per athlete to come in. So we did those things. Our numbers were very, very low in the stands, and that helped. And then in the spring, we came back, and when the numbers started changing and looking good for the state and for the world, and then the vaccine came in, and people were still moving, even though we got these different variants of the COVID strain, we were still excited about allowing our spring sports to open up more because they got cheated last year. They didn't get to play, you know, maybe 4 games at most, and they were done. So the superintendent, along with Scott Hansen, and along with the ADs and the principals, we said, we'll loosen up a little bit. And so we allowed them to start going out of the district to play games. And we are allowing districts to come in to play games. We kind of put a limit on how far west we can go and how far east we can go, how far south. We're not crossing over, I'm thinking, to another state, but that was big. We still have the limit of the amount of people who can come to the games, but we are kind of lenient with that because all of our sports are outside for the spring. So that was good. So that's what we did as a sports program, and that's what we did as a district.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. It's great to hear the consistency that your district followed and your schools followed. And I think you're like me. You know, we're excited that spring sports is going, but when it's finally over, you know, I think we'll take that collective sigh of relief that, okay, we got that season in, and now we can move on. Yeah. No, nobody wants to go back to last year. And that's what we told our coaches, you know, hey, you know, spring didn't get a sport. You want to make sure you get one.
Yeah, exactly.
Teresa, when we started these podcasts back in June, the events in Minneapolis and even in Atlanta, you know, we're still, you know, very much in the news and on everyone's mind. And one of the questions that I've been asking our athletic directors revolves around, you know, the theme of, you know, social awareness, you know, social justice. And my question is this, you know, what can we do as athletic directors? What can we do better for our kids, our coaches, our communities in this area of social awareness?
Lead by example. You know, that to me, all eyes are on you when you're over anything. So when you're over a athletic program, I don't care how big it is or how small it is, they're looking at you to be that example. They're looking at you to say, okay, I'm going to follow her lead because I trust her or him, because I've seen what they are doing and I see their heart and I know that they care. So that would be my thing. We can't say one thing in a podcast or in an interview or in a small clip and then turn around and do something completely different, because then you have the conflicting lines of communication going on and people are just not going to trust you. So that's the first thing I think we should do, lead by example. The second thing, we're human, okay? So with us being human, we need to show that side. You know, I try as much as I possibly can. I'm just because I have AD or athletic director, or I sit on this committee or I do this right here, I'm still a mother. I'm still an educator. I'm still working and doing the best I can in a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? I'm still doing what you're doing. I still have family members who have passed because of COVID. I have kids that I taught that have passed from COVID. So see, you know, allowing people to see that, allowing people to say, oh, she is human. Oh, okay. Now they will start understanding. And like I said, be that example and start following behind you. Those are, in my opinion, the two most important things if we want to see that change and see people believing and doing. I think that's what we would have to do.
I think you're spot on. I really appreciate you sharing that and sharing your heart. Let's lighten things up here a little bit.
Okay.
What, as you come into Godby every morning, what gets you excited? What are you looking forward to? What's your favorite part about being the athletic director at Godby High School?
This is going to sound so crazy, but what makes my day is when a student athlete stops in. I don't care what it's for. I don't care if it's to complain about a coach. I don't care if it's just to say, hey, Ms. Gunter, you got some snacks. I don't care. To see a student athlete come in and say, hey, Ms. Gunter, blah, 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 blah. That makes my day because I'm not in the classroom anymore. So I don't get to see the kids. I don't get to say, hey, what's going on with you? What's going on? I'm not in the hallways because emails and phone calls and principal and everything else have kind of kept me in this little area. So that makes my day, believe it or not, just having them. Here's the other crazy thing. Parents calling me and emailing me. That makes my day because now I feel like they're calling me, hey, I have this problem. Hey, what do I need to do to get my kid to play? Or if I'm calling them saying, hey, your kid has this academic issue, we need to straighten it up before all of those things, it gets me excited. Having senior parents, can I make an appointment with you? I really need to talk about this clearinghouse. Yeah, come on in. I clear everything. Yes, are you sure it's okay? Yes, I'm positive it's okay. I hold my calls. I'm in a meeting, leave me alone. And to sit there to take a student and their parents step by step of how you're going to play in, at the next level and what you need to do. Let's look at his grades. Man, I go crazy over stuff like that. So that's what gets my blood pumping. Yeah, I can sit here and say, oh, whenever our basketball team wins, whenever our, girls flag football team wins, that gets me excited. It does, and it should. But those are the things that really get me moving when I can come in and talk to a kid, talk to a parent about our program and what our program is doing for them and what it will do for them, even our ninth graders. Hey, look, this is what we're going to do for your kid starting now. I need you to help us get on board. And we push through. So those are the most exciting things for me.
Now, I just see myself in my office. So when you're not coaching, you don't have that daily scheduled interaction with the kids. Mm-hmm. But as an AD, when that student comes by, and you said parents, I love to talk to parents, yeah. Even that, pain in the what parent.
Yeah, they are.
Because that's you get a chance to maybe get them over on your side just a little bit. But yeah, that's the job, and for me, that's the most fun, and obviously it is for you too.
Yes, it is.
Well, Teresa, this has just been so cool getting to know you a little bit, but we're not done yet.
Oh gosh, okay.
We always like to wrap up with what we call the athletic director's toolbox. Now, you mentioned that you're new to athletic administration, but you're certainly not new to the world of athletics. So right now, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox.
Okay.
What 3 items are going to go in Teresa Gunter's athletic director toolbox?
Okay, so the very first thing is going to be excitement and motivation. Seriously, if you're not excited and motivated to be in this position, first of all, you should be excited and motivated because you woke up on this side of the dirt. So that's the first thing that I'm gonna say. But when you know that you're the athletic director of any program, rather it's like a small Christian school with 200 kids, or if a huge school with 5,000 kids and you're the athletic director, you should be excited and motivated about it. So that's the first thing. They go together. The second thing is you're going to have skin that has Teflon on it, okay? Because you're going to have to learn to let stuff just roll on off because everybody is going to, as the kids say, come for you. They're coming for you because you are doing good. If they're not coming for you, you might want to go back to the drawing, page and try to figure some things out. When you're doing good, they're going to come for you. So that Teflon is going to help you not take it personally. You know what I'm saying? If a parent calls and complain about a coach and my kid this, you have to think that kid, that parent is the advocate for that kid. So you can't blame them. Now they may be doing it wrong by calling you every name under the sun. Okay. Maybe they need to change how they approach you, but they're the advocate for their kid. So having that Teflon skin to let it roll off, take a deep breath, and then assess the problem, the issue, and move from there, you're going to do great. The third thing is having some type of organizational plan. And let me tell you why. When I took on this job, the previous AD stayed here and she was the junior guidance counselor. We just flip-flop. So I could lean back to her and say, hey, what did you do? What is this right here? And she had folders upon folders. Oh, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. She was very organized. And I was like, wow, let me get organized. So having an organizational plan is going to help you tremendously, making sure that I have a calendar for this. I said I would never have a paper calendar because technology is crazy. Hello, I have a paper calendar right here. That's just part of my organizational plan. Emails, having a plan with emails. I come in 1 hour, I devote to answering emails and returning phone calls. That's in my plan. And then I stick to the plan. Yes, you may have some things where you can't stick to it, but stick to it as much as you possibly can. Because if you start flying away, oh, I'll get to that later, you're going to get behind and you're going to find yourself without the Teflon skin because it's going to melt away. And then you're going to find yourself saying, why the heck did I take this job? This is too much for me. I don't think I'm the right person. You start doubting yourself. So make sure you have that organizational plan. You have that Teflon skin. You have that motivation and excitement so that you can move on. And you said 3 things. So those are my 3 things. But I want to tell a new athletic director, find something that no one else is doing. And then you do it. What in the world does that mean? That's so vague. It doesn't matter. Find something that someone else isn't doing and do it well. Now, someone in Arizona may be doing it, but you don't know them, so that doesn't count. So I'm saying for the schools around you here in Leon County, find something that no one else is doing, and then say, you know what, I am going to do it. Let's do it. It could be starting a program. It could be making sure that you have checkpoints. I don't know, whatever it is, start it, because that's going to be your legacy. That's going to be your seed that you planted to leave for someone else. And that's how you start this chain of legacy that lasts, not just while you're in place, but for the next person who's in place and the next person who's in place. So they can continually build something in your program. I do want to say this because I know we don't want to end in a bad note. I promise you I will just explode with something great. But I am thinking really hard to try to find something new. And I wanted to do it before my first year, but then, COVID hit and stuff went out the window. But we lose a lot of our kids when we send them off to college. A lot of our student athletes, we send them off to colleges, more so our big football boys, they're big babies, and we feel that they can take care of themselves. And so we give them to that D1 school or D2 school or JUCO, and we say, take care of our babies. And then we get ready for the next batch. I don't want to do that anymore. I thought about, why don't we have some type of connection, high school connection, where we send care baskets. We have a hotline or a telephone number, something where if they just need to talk, they can call us and they can talk to us and we can just encourage them. If every Wednesday we get a Zoom meeting and we say, hey, just Zoom in right now when you have time, and they can talk to not only me, but all of the other athletes at our different schools, just to give them that sense of they didn't forget about me. And I will say what made me really think about this, and you may know Jordan Wiggins in Georgia Southern. He was one of our babies. And he was one that I was hugging and smiling and excited that he was going to Georgia Southern. He was up here. He lost his mom during his senior year. And everybody stepped in. Everybody stepped in with him. And we were there for him. The coaches grabbed him. We encouraged him, let's go, you can do this. He did well. He went over to Georgia Southern. The coaches were talking about him, and we got that dreadful call. That dreadful call that he committed suicide. What? Very smart kid. What's going on? And I thought about it as a guidance counselor. We dropped him into this place without any of the support system that we had given him so much his senior year when he lost his mom. We dropped the ball. And so I don't want to drop the ball anymore. I don't want to do it. I want to be there for those kids, regardless. Some are going to do fine. We have a lot who are doing great, and they have a great family support system. But they are with us, believe it or not, a long time. And they're with us during school. They're with us after practice, during games. Why are we leaving these babies? So that's one thing that I am going to start back. It's a care package. I'm going to give them lines where they can call. They can talk to me. They can talk to old teachers. They can talk to old guidance counselors. And we're just going to have a party for those kids to make sure that they know that they're not alone. So I just wanted to give a plug for that because I do know that it's happening a lot. And that's something I'm going to start up. And my principal has already okayed it. So I'm excited about that. And we're going to move forward for that. So that's the happy thing that's going to happen. We're going to do it at Godby. That's something no one around here is doing. So they better not steal it if they watch this podcast.
Well, first of all, what a great idea. We all do these signing ceremonies. And I know at our school, we always say, you're going to be, wherever they're going, you're going to be a Trojan, but you'll always be, a Marauder. And then how often do we follow up on that? So what a great idea. And remember, athletic directors are notorious, and we encourage them to steal those great ideas. So you'd be surprised if somebody, even in the Panhandle,
not before me,
steals that idea. I'll let you get yours going first. But Teresa Gunter, thank you so much for being on the show. If one of our listeners wants to reach out and connect with you and pick your brain, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Email. Email is the best way because remember, I devote an hour in the morning for emails. So that email is my last name, Gunter, Gunter, hyphen Jackson, JACKSONT at leonschools.net.
Okay, so Gunter hyphen Jackson T at leonschools.net.
That is it.
All right, that's pretty good. I've got that email. Okay. Teresa, thanks again. To our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of these interviews are also being uploaded to the FIAAA Educational AD YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for tuning in. Come back again for another episode of the Educational AD.
All right. Thank you.